Good evening, everyone. Ooh, sound loud. Karaoke. Okay, Peter, we can go ahead and start the recording. Yeah? Okay, good evening, everyone. You can take your seats. And Peter, if you want to kind of dim the lights a little bit. We do have refreshments in the back. Help yourself. The bathrooms are in the back as well, if you haven't been here before. I am Brenda Yokepa Moses. I'm the Deputy Director for the County of Hawaii Department of Environmental Management. And tonight we're going to go over the draft environmental document, and really we're here just to get comments from you guys. If you have any questions, of course, we'll entertain questions, and we'll go on from there. So you guys can, we can go through the documentation. If you have any questions while I'm doing the presentation, feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll have questions and answers at the end, okay? Okay, so the Naalehu Large Capacity Cesspool Closure Environmental Draft Document. And here's our milestones and statuses as of today. I think today's been our 8th meeting in our communities. So I know you guys have seen me a lot. I'm probably tired of talking about wastewater issues, but we've been here 8 times in Pahala and Naalehu to give the community available time to ask questions and see a lot of familiar faces. The feasibility evaluation report was done and completed by our deadline, October 21st, 2022. Preliminary engineering report, July 31st, 2023. Our draft environmental information document is where we are at now, and we're at open comment period. So if you guys think of any comments that you have today, oh, sorry. Peter? That's going to go on your performance evaluation. So let's see. If you guys have any questions that you think about today, we have paper back there where the sign-in is, and please sign in. Put your most current contact information so we can get the flyers out to you. I know we have some of them that are coming back as not a good address, so just make sure that we sign in. So you can do written, or you can have comments today that Peter will take down. Okay, and then after the draft and comment period, we'll have the final environmental information document submitted to the EPA for their approval. The implementation plan will be due 60 days after the EPA's approval, and then the large capacity cesspool closure, December 31st, 2027. Okay, so the purpose of this meeting, like I said, is to review the environmental document. We do have these documents available at the Naalehu Library. Not everybody has internet access, and it's a very large document, so you can feel free to check it out there. We want to allow the community an opportunity to give oral and written testimony and comments, and we'll do that this evening. And like I said, you have until the 21st, so if you think about something when you get home, you can always give us a call or submit your information via email. Okay, what is the environmental information document? The EID is to analyze the environmental impacts of the proposed project, alternatives, including the no action alternative, describe the proposed project alternatives, project need, existing and surrounding land uses, existing environment impacts, and mitigation measures. The draft EID identifies a preferred alternative of sewage treatment plant, and thank you, Naalehu, for giving us the preferred option of the sewage treatment plant as the permanent solution. We did entertain IWS, and you guys were very thoughtful in that process. There was a lot of questions that came through. We went up through a whole informational period of that, but at the end of the day, that would only be considered a temporary solution. If at any time the community, which there's more houses that could be hooked up, needed to hook up in 2050 or before, and a sewer line runs in front of your property and you have an IWS, then you'll be mandated to hook up to the better economical, the better system, which is thought by EPA to be the sewage treatment plant, which has R2 water. Okay. The final EID will include a consultation with state and federal agencies, county department, public utilities, and affected properties and the stakeholders. Okay, so I'm going to read all of these, but these are all of the topics, and you have your handouts, so just take your handouts with you if you think of questions or any comments later. But these are all of the things that we discuss in the environmental document, how any of these are affected by the wastewater treatment plant option. So the wastewater. Go ahead. Yeah. Wastewater treatment options. It went in front of the communities for alternative 1, which was the one that the community selected, which was a packaged treatment plant with new collection system. Alternative 2 was a packaged treatment plant connected to the existing system. And overwhelmingly, we don't know the status of that existing system. I think since Andrade was doing the repairs back 20 years ago, I don't think there's been any major repairs done. So the safer option while we had the construction going on was to get the new collection system in place. Alternative 3, 4, and 4A and 4B were all the individual wastewater systems. We went over different package plants where the homeowner would take care of it, county would take care of it with a maintenance contract, county would hire the contractor. All of those scenarios were fully vetted by the community. We talked a lot about it. At the end of the day, especially for Naalehu, the lots are much smaller, much smaller than Pahala lots. There was a lot more challenges. You guys are all uphill, unfortunately. So it was very complex. The community, thought it was risky having a sewage leach field underneath their properties, which meant they can't do any permanent structures on top of their property. And so the wastewater treatment package plan with the new collection was this choice for both Pahala and Naalehu communities. Okay, next, Peter. Okay, so if you look at the environmental document, the factors in selecting the preferred alternative, regulatory compliance, EPA has granted us an extension, but these gang cesspools, the closures were 2005. So the community has been talking and discussing converting for many, many, many years. The plantation had set aside some acres for this project, whether it been whatever the treatment was going to be analyzed, and also the new owner that purchased the property also set aside that acreage, so we'd have a plan for the Naalehu community. Community preference, of course, we took into the community preference for all of the homeowners. Perceived environmental impacts. Like I said, the wastewater treatment plant is above ground. The lagoons was digging down 18-foot excavation. A lot of the components I talked to is like, that's not a good idea here in Ku'u to dig down 18 feet, big as a swimming pool, right? So we know that there's lava tubes, maybe EVs and other things that are there. So, and then the contractual obligations. Seabrewer said they were going to give a permanent solution for this community, and this is the permanent solution. Okay, actions under the preferred alternative 1. These are all of the steps that we have to do under the actions under this alternative. It's a lot. We've done a lot already in these 3.5 years that we've been here. And we're having quite a bit more to do. So construct the new collection system. Many of you have received, and thank you for the overwhelming amount of returns on the right of entry property for your properties. We need those to kind of go on and look at your property design, construction, to get these collection systems in. The implementation, to implement the drainage improvements for the wastewater treatment plant, construct a new pump station, construct a new force main, construct the new collection system, install a collection system with the streets to replace the existing systems. And some of you have mentioned that you remember back in the day when Seabrewer had put in some of the laterals. That's been a long time. So we're gonna inspect those laterals to see what the integrity of them are, if they are being able to be used, but if not, we'll be replacing them as well. And accommodate future expansion for subsurface influent onto an adjoining property. Acquire the 28 acres from Naalehu wastewater treatment plant. Design and build a packaged wastewater treatment plant and subsurface irrigation system. Like I said, it'll be an R2 water that can be reused. We're looking at cattle grass that maybe the current pasture could use for cattle grass. The adjoining property could potentially use it for landscaping and water resources as well. And with the sewage treatment plant, it's much easier to add a train when you add more homes in the future. As everyone knows, by 2050, the entire island will no longer be able to have cesspools. So it's a real problem, and we need to have the infrastructure so others can hook up to the wastewater treatment plant as well. So this is the map, and we have a bigger one back there. I think it's back there or over there. And when we turn on the lights, we'll stay around after this meeting. I think a lot of you guys like to find out where your house is and have any questions that you might have back there. So our next steps for Naalehu will continue to be available, and we have a lot of calls. You guys have my cell phone number. I get quite a bit of calls with questions. Please continue to do that. October 21st, the comment period for the revised draft EID closes. We have been meeting with Shifty every 2 weeks for over a year now to apprise them of all of our projects that we're working on to try to stay ahead. And so they're well vested in what we're doing out here. And so that we've been doing that. We just had a meeting yesterday. Compile community consultation comments and then finalize the EID document. Continue to work on design for the collection system. Upon approval of the final EID, prepare the implementation plan, complete design package, complete acquisition and easements, work toward the solution on bids for a new collection system. So we always have the mandatory 2 meetings a year. They're always in February and August, but as you guys know, we've had multiple meetings in between and after and before those meetings as new information comes out. We have very limited staff, but I'm proud to say they have really taken care of these 2 communities by coming out as much as they can to these meetings. We'll always make ourselves available. And so right now, February is the next scheduled meeting, but if something comes up or we move to the next stage, we'll give you guys notice as we have been. West Hawaii, Tribune Herald, Ka'u Calendar, we do the mailings. Bulletin boards at the community centers. We try to get the word out as much as we can. And we also have our website. We hired somebody to kind of do a better job on our website, so our presentations will be on there for the people that can't come out. And for some of our kapunas, they've come out early, but it's a lot to go to these meetings month after month. So we either have representatives, they call me, or they go online, or have a family representative that have been keeping track of this. Okay, so these are some resources that you guys can follow if you miss a meeting or if you want to look over some of our previous meetings. We have our county website, DEM YouTube channel, EPA website that has all of our information about this administrative order of consent for both Pahala and Naalehu. And so always, your input's valuable. We'll always make ourselves available for any comments or questions that you have. Remember to sign in, make sure that your information is correct. And so, Peter, I think we'll turn the lights on and then we'll have any questions and answers right now. Okay, is there any questions or comments at this time? I know that sometimes in a lot of our meetings they'll call afterwards. Sometimes it'll sink in, they'll look at what is this or how is this, and that's fine. I'm there Monday through Friday. I live in Pahala, so you guys can always call me on the weekends as well. But if you think of any questions, we're going to stay around. We're going to look at the maps. and answer any questions you have. And also, if you want to take a written document back there, you can write your comments in and email it over to us as well.
I have some questions, Brenda. Does anybody else have any questions first? Did you want me to stand up there on that microphone? Is that what's that? You can hear me from there? Oh, good. So Brenda, you talked about if in the future there's more houses that they could potentially connect to this sewage treatment plant system. And I think that we all saw in the news recently that Naalehu has proposed to subdivide all of her land above Naalehu to 33 lots. Can I ask you, is part of this project being privately funded, and has Naalehu offered to help pay for this system?
No.
So Naalehu has not had any discussions with your department about contributing towards the development of this wastewater system?
I'm telling you that the county is not taking any private funds for this property. We're under administrative work consent, which is very timely. We can't afford any delays. So there's been no promises for sewer connections, and there's been no money taken from private entities for this.
Then that really wasn't a question. Was there an offer to contribute towards this development, the development of the sewage treatment plant by Naalehu or any of her organizations?
We have had no offer.
Okay, so that's a no.
No offer has been made by Naalehu for any contribution toward this. No monetary offer. No offer has been made for this. We have funding for this project through bonds, SRF funds.
That's okay. So second question for you. I see that you're using a large portion of the property purchased by Naalehu Trail Association with taxpayer money for preservation, specifically state money, 28 acres. And many of you may not have realized, but Brenda's department introduced a resolution last week to condemn that land, to condemn it, to all 28 acres from the Naalehu Trail Association. It's my understanding it's because you need that to place the facility. But I also see land owned by Naalehu up there. I see land owned by Christina Taylor and her partners. Next to that one, I also see land owned by Councilwoman Galimba, who's sitting next to me. Are you also introducing resolutions to condemn their property?
We believe that this property, we put $4 million toward the purchase of this property. With the reservation of this 20 acres, we've done extensive soil testing on this property. We're not entertaining any other properties.
So you're not using, you show the properties being used as part of.
Would you like to have on Naalehu's property that's residential next to a water well?
I'm looking at that red dashed line. You have part of Naalehu's property as part of this project. Right there in the corner behind the Hongwanji, I see Naalehu's property within part of the boundaries of the APE. You see that wastewater treatment plant project site in red dashed lines?
Yeah, we're reserving that with the condemnation as well.
Oh, so, okay, so you plan to condemn her land as well? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's for future irrigation, right? We need irrigation for our two.
Okay, so everywhere that's with the dashed red line, even Councilwoman Galimba's property, which is the road there, is going to go through the same condemnation process?
If the landowner is not willing to give us right out easements, which we haven't had that problem with any of the landowners.
Okay, so have they've signed something with you to say that they're interested in?
That's discussion between the county and the landowners.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, well, it just seems odd that you would point out Naalehu's property, but nobody else's through that condemnation.
Yeah, well, we need to get the sale moving along and on the right track, and you have a deadline with EPA. Yeah.
Okay, third question. You said that the community was concerned, there was Pupuna's concerned about digging 18-foot deep lagoons, but your project shows buildings that are 30 feet tall that are being used for this facility.
They're not any taller than the ranch headquarters that you plan on doing the visitation.
How tall is that building?
Well, I think we'll have it on our meeting with the council, right?
Is there another building in Naalehu that's 30 feet tall?
It's not 30 feet tall, I'm not sure.
I have your schematics, I measured it all out, but is there another building in our community
the one that's on your
that is
property,
30 feet tall?
The one that's on your property.
You sure that's 30 feet?
It's pretty taller than the wastewater treatment plant, that's for sure. Yeah.
I'll measure it to check.
I'll go with you.
Okay, great.
That'd
That'd be nice. I need the company.
Okay, Without further ado,
I'd like to ask one more question, Brenda, just for the record. Are you hearing me on the microphone? Okay, Brenda, what, in your opinion, what's the difference between informing the community and consulting with the community? I'm just curious if you have a difference in those kind of terms, definitions.
well, I've never seen you at any of our meetings
And I've never seen you at any of the meetings that the county held for Waikapuna.
Yeah, like I said, I was invited.
Oh, you showed me the email. You copied.
I was invited to talk about the resource. I sent my husband, he's a fisherman, and he's one that gets access to the fishing coastline.
So you were invited. You just thought it was for something.
Not to talk about resource, to talk about your fishermen, track tails and oceans. Please talk to us.
You just said the county put $4 million into preserving this property. Why would the county only create a master plan for the beach? Honestly, the state owns everything to the high water mark.
Wait,
Why
how
would they?
someone have this piece is 28 acres that reserved for the benefit of the Naalehu community, the plantation community that are trying to take care of.
Okay, well, we're not on the plantation anymore, Brenda.
I know, and they're so fortunate, this community is really so fortunate to get this paid for by the county. They're really fortunate. They can be in compliance, they can go sell their houses, everybody else will be in the whole island, will need to figure out how they're going to work.
Well, the county did it, wasn't forced to accept this problem. Somebody made a bad decision. That's why the taxpayers are having to
To
work.
you, it's a bad decision. For the people here in this community, it's a good decision.
Sea Brewer made a lot of decisions about that. And I hope you people watching this online, we're paying for the mistakes that were made by people before us. And you worked for Sea Brewer.
Thank you, I did. I have a lot of plantation people that still respect things. I work for the community. Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry.
Well, we need to listen to you, I'm sorry. You're kind of too far, we'll get that turned on for you.
I'm talking about the individual, actually individual affected by the properties over there. Cibur was obligated for installing sewer lines for every residential affected with the sewer system. The contractor installed the sewer line, was it inspected by the county?
So you're talking about the laterals, I'm sorry, the laterals of the plantation put in?
Laterals from the individual house to the county.
The dry laterals were inspected a long time ago, but it hasn't been for many years.
So what's gonna happen to that plastic line?
So they'll evaluate it. It might be good, but either they're gonna have to cap it in place and put the one beside it. It's just too much to try to pull it out. So they're gonna do an evaluation with the camera through those lines to check the integrity of those lines.
So they're gonna what? Redo it?
If there's any compromise to those lines, we're probably gonna cap in place. I mean, they're not connected to anything, but the gang cesspool line, are you talking about the one that's actually hooked up and going to the gang cesspool?
The contractor installed.
Yeah, that's what the plantation one,
The
yeah.
question is, was it inspected by the county? In other words, shit don't go uphill.
Yeah, not recently, no, I mean.
When it was installed?
Yeah, when it was installed some years ago, right?
Yeah.
Long time ago. So, yeah, I mean.
So in other words, if not installed properly and everything is hooked up, couple of years down the road, it backs up. Who's responsible for that?
Yeah, so it'll be the same thing as it is now. The gang cesspool, you guys are all the ones that are hooked up to the gang cesspool. The plantation used to maintain it, and the county maintains it now. You guys probably know Cisco Villa, it comes through your property quite often. But the county will still maintain it. They'll still maintain the plant and the collection system all the way to your house, just like it does now.
Okay.
Yeah.
To the house, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How is this proposed site going to affect access to it?
It's not at all. No. The Waikapuna access is not close to this property.
And then the ranching tenants, they're not going to be affected by it.
Well, we haven't had a chance to talk to the ranching tenants, but we're talking to them tomorrow. And because it's R1 water, there's potential for us to grow grass and use the R2 as our R2 water. is good enough for the pasture, is good enough for vegetation, landscaping. These drip irrigations will be underneath the ground, 12 inches, so it won't hurt for the cattle to walk amongst the.
So they'll have complete access to all of their
I
roads.
mean, we're gonna completely, we need to, by mandate, completely fence off the property, and our facility, of course, will need to have perimeter, but where the irrigation is going, there's no real, unless the county is aggressive with their employees, but, yeah.
Okay, so one more time, I'm sorry. So access to Waikupuna will not be impeded by this at all? There's no
No.
possibility of that?
It's not the same access point, yeah.
And then was there another proposed plan back in 2018 before ATA bought the property? Like, was there?
Yeah, this plan for reservation of this property has been since the plantation days.
No, what I'm saying is, when now you guys gotta do this whole thing, ATA was gonna buy the property back in 2018, whatever. Was there another, because, right, the 28 acres is excluded from conservation, some kind of agreement back in 2018, before the agreement actually was put in place. Well, the agreement was being spoken about. Was there another proposed plan besides this thing? Was there a no more environmentally friendly that was going to do wetlands and whatnot?
So that was never specifically for Naalehu. We did get to the ADA process in Naalehu, we did it for Pahalo. And Pahalo, we went through the whole geotechnical surveys, considered the lagoons, and we found out that the deep excavation, the lava tubes, the cost per connection per house for the county was astronomical. It just wasn't feasible. And like I said, we could get 80% done with the excavation, and then we run into something, and then where do we go? There's a lot of landmarks there. There's a lot of landmarks there. Yeah. But yeah, that was the hollow plan, and we would like to have same on both properties. Because we're gonna have one crew that will maintain both properties.
So Brenda, did you change the design because people were worried about the lagoons, or because you want to have the same design at both towns? It's going to be cheaper for the county and easier to maintain. Because if you're going to tell me that you changed the design because people were opposing the community, I want to see where that video was of that community meeting. I'd like to see the records of that. That is a big jump from what ATA had agreed to before to what you're proposing now.
Right, and we had never approved the plan for Naalehu property, right? We never approved a plan for Naalehu property. We're gonna do on the property what's best environmentally and best fiscally for the county, and we're gonna take all of that into consideration when we choose a plan.
But that's not what was conveyed to the state. The environmentally friendly constructed wetlands with all the native birds and all the native trees.
Yeah, I know,
is
that
what was
sounds great for a private entity that has an amount of disposable money out of assets. The native birds that will come to these trailer plants, it costs taxpayers money to moderate those birds, to have people come to the property. They could obstruct our operations. We have it at Kalikehe right now, so do the bus.
It's on a conservation property. If you're gonna make it an industrial sewage treatment plant, because that's basically what this is, you wanna call it a package plant, that sounds fancy, but then put it on someone else's property, not land that the community worked for so long.
And the county contributed $4 million.
It was never a quid pro quo.
There was other groups that were buying for the stewardship of these properties. We have this out here buying the stewardship of this property. For any other of those groups, that would be a small portion to give back to the community of Naalehu for the acquisition of a 2,000 acre parcel.
So am I the only one that thinks it's crazy that the county is pushing a sewage treatment plant property on land that the community thought was worthy of acquiring for preservation? You're like forgetting that important part, and that's why the design
In
is
fact,
so important.
I'm going to end this meeting right now, County. You can have like conversations, surround conversation The county holds.
I just want it on the record for
The
the
county
whoever's
holds,
listening.
the county holds the conservation easement for this property. We excluded the 20 acres for this very reason. Thank you guys for coming this evening. I'll be around to answer any questions.